Welcome to Stories Junction. Let's begin today's story. It was a quiet Thursday evening. I was lounging on the couch, scrolling through my phone while Emily, my wife of 8 years, was curled up beside me with a novel. The soft glow of the lamp cast a warm light over the room. The distant hum of the dishwasher, the only background noise. It was just another ordinary night until it wasn't. Without warning, Emily placed her book down, turned to me, and said, "Ethan, we need to talk." The way she said it sent a ripple of unease through me. You know that tone, the one that carries a weight like someone's been sitting on something for too long and now it's too heavy to keep inside? That's exactly how she sounded. I shifted slightly, trying to keep my voice light. "Sure, babe. What's on your mind?" But my pulse had already picked up speed. She hesitated for a moment, as if debating how to say whatever was coming next. Finally, she took a deep breath and met my gaze. "I've been thinking about something for a while now, and I need to be honest with you." I nodded, leaning forward slightly. "Of course, Em. You can always talk to me about anything." She exhaled slowly before saying the words that would shatter my world. "I think we should consider opening up our marriage." At first, my brain didn't even process what she'd just said. I blinked. Once, twice. Then, slowly, the meaning settled in and my stomach dropped. Wait, what? The words felt foreign in my mouth, like they belonged in someone else's conversation. Emily swallowed, her voice soft but unwavering. "An open marriage, Ethan. I want us to explore other people, to see what it's like to experience intimacy and relationships outside of just us." My heart slammed against my ribs. "You mean, you want to sleep with other people?" I couldn't believe I was even saying it out loud. She nodded, her gaze falling to her lap. "I've been thinking about it for a long time. I love you, but I feel like I need something more. We've been in this bubble for so long, and I feel like I'm missing out." I sat there, frozen, my mind a chaotic mess of confusion, anger, and disbelief. Emily, my Emily, wanted to open our marriage. She wanted to be with other people, and she expected me to be okay with it. After a long moment, I forced myself to speak. "How long have you been thinking about this?" My voice was quieter than I'd intended. She hesitated before looking up at me, her eyes filled with a vulnerability that made my chest tighten. "A few months." My breath caught. "Months? And you never told me?" She shook her head. "I didn't want to bring it up until I was sure." I ran a hand through my hair, trying to ground myself. Everything felt like it was spinning. "Emily, what are you even saying? This isn't what I signed up for. This isn't what I want." She nodded as if she expected that response. "I know, and I understand if you're upset, but I need to be honest with myself. With you. I need to know if you can handle this." I let out a hollow laugh, shaking my head. "Handle this? Emily, you're asking me to be okay with you sleeping with other people. How do you expect me to just accept that?" She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "It's not about you, Ethan. It's about me." Her words cut deep. The woman I had spent nearly a decade with, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone, was looking at me like she was already somewhere else, living in a world where we were no longer just us. I swallowed the lump in my throat. "I can't do this, Emily." Silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. I could see the sadness in her eyes, but there was something else too. Determination. Like she had already made up her mind. That night, we went to bed without another word. Neither of us slept. And for the first time in our marriage, I felt like I was losing her. The morning after Emily's revelation, everything felt off. Like I was walking through a version of my life that looked the same, but wasn't. She moved around the kitchen quietly, making coffee like she always did, but there was an invisible wall between us now. She didn't try to bring up our conversation from the night before, and I wasn't about to either. I sat at the table, staring into my untouched mug, the steam curling up like a ghost of something I'd already lost. Finally, I broke the silence. "I can't stop thinking about what you said last night." Emily turned, leaning against the counter. I figured. I let out a breath, shaking my head. "I don't understand. Why now? Why is this suddenly something you need?" She hesitated, stirring her coffee absent-mindedly before speaking. "It's not sudden, Ethan. I just never knew how to say it before. I've been feeling restless, like there's a whole part of life I haven't experienced. And I don't want to wake up one day and regret not exploring it. Exploring what exactly? I snapped, harsher than I intended. She flinched, but didn't back down. Different connections. New experiences. I don't want to feel trapped in routine for the rest of my life. Trapped. The word cut through me like a blade. I pushed my chair back abruptly, standing up. I never thought of our marriage as a cage, Emily. That's not what I meant. Then what do you mean? I ran a hand through my hair, trying to keep my voice steady. Because what it sounds like is that our life together isn't enough for you anymore. She sighed, rubbing her temples. It's not about you not being enough. It's about me needing more for myself. I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my keys off the counter and headed for the door. Where are you going? She asked, her voice quiet. I just need some air. I drove aimlessly for an hour, thoughts circling my mind like vultures picking apart a dying thing. Was this my fault? Had I missed something? Had I been so comfortable in our life together that I hadn't seen her slipping away? Eventually, I ended up at Matt's place, my best friend since college. When he opened the door, he took one look at me and frowned. Damn, man, you look like hell. Yeah, I muttered, stepping inside. I feel worse. We settled on his back porch, beers in hand, as I finally told him everything. By the time I was done, he let out a low whistle. She really said that? Just out of the blue. Yeah, apparently, she's been thinking about it for months. Matt shook his head. And what? She just expects you to be okay with it? I laughed bitterly. Pretty much. Man, I hate to say it, but this doesn't sound like something she just thought about. It sounds like she's already made up her mind. Like she's just waiting for you to either agree or step aside. The thought made my stomach turn. You think she's already seeing someone? Matt hesitated. I don't know, but I do know people don't just wake up one day and decide they need an open marriage unless something or someone put the idea in their head. I let his words sink in, the weight of them pressing down on me. When I got home that night, Emily was on the couch, reading, except she wasn't really reading. She was just staring at the pages, lost in thought. I sat across from her, my voice calm but firm. Is there someone else? Her eyes snapped up to mine. What? Are you already seeing someone? She shook her head quickly. No, Ethan. I swear, I haven't done anything. I've just been thinking about it. I studied her face, searching for any sign of dishonesty. If she was lying, she was good at it. After a long silence, I spoke again. I don't want this, Emily. I don't want an open marriage. I can't share you with anyone else. She swallowed hard. I was hoping you'd at least try to understand. And I was hoping this was just some phase that would pass. She looked down, and for the first time, I saw tears in her eyes. But I couldn't tell if they were for me or for the life she thought she was missing out on. I don't know where we go from here, she whispered. I didn't either, but I had a feeling it wasn't anywhere good. The days that followed were suffocating. The house felt different, colder, unfamiliar, like the warmth had been drained from it. Emily and I spoke in short, clipped sentences, neither of us wanting to be the first to break. She spent more time on her phone, more time going out, and less time with me. I told myself I was imagining things, but deep down, I knew better. She was already pulling away. I tried to hold on to some sense of normalcy. I went to work, I hit the gym, I even grabbed a few drinks with my coworker Jake, who had no idea my marriage was slowly imploding. But every time I came home, I felt like I was walking into a battlefield where the war had already been lost. Then Friday night came. Emily was getting ready to go out, humming softly to herself as she did her makeup. She looked excited, almost glowing, and I knew, with gut-wrenching certainty, that it wasn't because of me. Where are you going tonight? I asked, keeping my voice as even as possible. She glanced at me in the mirror. Out with Sophie. Of course. Where exactly? She hesitated just for a second before answering. Probably just a couple bars downtown. Nothing crazy. I nodded, watching her carefully. Want to pick you up later? She smiled, but it felt forced. No need. I'll just take an Uber home. That was the first real confirmation I needed. She didn't want me to know when she was coming back. She kissed me on the cheek before she left. I didn't kiss her back. I stared at my phone for hours that night, debating whether to check her location. For 7 years, I had trusted Emily without question. But now that trust was nothing but a distant memory, replaced by a gnawing dread in my chest. By midnight, I gave in. I opened the tracking app. The The same one we had both agreed to use just for safety reasons years ago. She wasn't at Sophie's. She wasn't at a bar, either. She was at a hotel. My stomach dropped. For a while, I just sat there, staring at the blinking dot on the screen. Maybe she had a good reason. Maybe Sophie had too much to drink, and they decided to crash somewhere. Maybe I was overreacting. But deep down, I knew the truth. I could feel it like a sharp blade twisting in my gut. She had made her choice, and she hadn't chosen me. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the living room, staring at the front door, waiting. At 3 a.m., I finally heard it. The soft click of the lock turning. The quiet creak of the door opening. She was trying to be quiet. I turned on the lamp, the warm glow cutting through the darkness. Emily froze in the doorway, her body stiffening when she saw me. Her hair was slightly messy. Her makeup was smudged, her lipstick mostly gone. There was something about her, something guilty, something hesitant, like she already knew she was caught. She opened her mouth to speak, but I beat her to it. Where were you? Her expression didn't change. She had already prepared for this. I told you I was out with Sophie. I held up my phone, showed her the screen. Try again. Her face paled. For a long moment, she just stood there, her lips slightly parted, searching for the right words. Ethan, was it worth it? I asked, my voice sharp and cold. She blinked. What? I swallowed hard, my hands curling into fists. Was it worth it, Emily? Whatever you did tonight, whoever you did it with. Was it everything you thought it would be? Her bottom lip trembled. I didn't. Don't lie to me. She exhaled shakily, then, in the quietest voice, she said, Ethan, I'm sorry. And just like that, the last piece of my heart shattered. The silence between us stretched unbearably long. I could barely look at her. How long? I asked, my voice hollow. Emily wiped at her eyes. It wasn't. She stopped, exhaling sharply. Tonight was the first time. And you expect me to believe that? She flinched. I swear, Ethan, I hadn't done anything before tonight. But I've been thinking about it. And when I was there in that moment, I just, I stood abruptly, knocking my chair back. You just what? Thought why not, and went for it. She covered her face with her hands. I don't know. I wasn't thinking. I just, You were thinking. My voice was eerily calm now. You planned this, Emily. You knew exactly what you were doing when you left this house tonight. You made the choice, and now you have to live with it. She sobbed. I never wanted to hurt you. I let out a bitter laugh. And yet you did. You knew what this would do to me, and you did it anyway. What does that say about you? She had no answer. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I packed a bag. Just the essentials, clothes, my work laptop, my toothbrush. Emily watched from the doorway, her eyes swollen from crying. Where are you going? She whispered. I didn't look at her as I zipped up the bag. I don't know yet, but I can't stay here. She took a shaky step forward. Ethan, please don't leave like this. We can talk about it. We can. I turned to face her, my jaw clenched. There's nothing left to talk about, Emily. Her face crumpled. I walked past her, pausing at the doorway for just a second. Then, without another word, I left. And as I stepped into the cold night air, I knew I wasn't coming back. I drove aimlessly that night, the city lights blurring into streaks of gold and red. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. I should have been angry. I should have been screaming, punching something, breaking something. But all I felt was hollow. I checked into a cheap motel on the outskirts of town. The kind with flickering neon signs and carpets that smelled like cigarettes. It didn't matter. I just needed a place to think. A place to exist outside of the wreckage of my marriage. Lying on the stiff mattress, I stared at the ceiling, my mind replaying everything. Her hesitation, her excuses, the way she said I'm sorry like it was supposed to undo what she had done. I had spent 7 years building a life with her. 7 years of memories, of laughter, of us. And she had thrown it away for one night. Or maybe more. Maybe she had been throwing it away long before tonight. And I was just too blind to see it. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Emily, 3 missed calls. Emily, please just talk to me. Emily, I know you're hurting. I'm so sorry. Emily, Just tell me where you are. I locked my phone and tossed it aside. She didn't deserve a response. The next morning, I woke up to a splitting headache and a sense of emptiness that settled deep in my bones. The reality of it all hit me like a freight train. I had no plan, no idea what came next. I grabbed a coffee from the motel lobby and scrolled through my contacts, my thumb hovering over Matt's name. He was the closest thing I had to a best friend, but we never talked about personal things. Work, sports, weekend plans, that was the extent of our conversations. Still, I had to call someone. I hit dial. Matt answered after 2 rings. Ethan? What's up, man? You okay? I swallowed hard. Not really. A pause. What's going on? The words felt foreign in my mouth. Emily cheated on me. Silence. Then a sharp exhale. Jesus, man. Are you serious? Yeah. Another pause. Where are you right now? Motel off of Lincoln. Stay there. I'm coming. 30 minutes later, Matt showed up with 2 gas station breakfast sandwiches and a look of quiet concern. He didn't say anything as he handed me one, just sat on the edge of the bed, waiting. I took a bite, barely tasting it. So what now? He asked finally. I let out a humorless laugh. No idea. Matt nodded slowly. You staying here for a while? No. Can't live in a motel forever. I sighed. I just couldn't stay in that house. Not after last night. I get it. He hesitated. You can crash in my place if you need to. I blinked. Seriously? Yeah. Got a spare room. And honestly, I could use the company. Gets too damn quiet in my apartment. I hadn't expected that. Matt wasn't the sentimental type. But right now, I was too exhausted to overthink it. Thanks, man. Moving out of the house should have felt like a relief, but it only made everything more real. I went back that evening, hoping Emily wouldn't be there. But as I unlocked the door, I heard soft footsteps, and then, Ethan. She was standing at the top of the stairs, her eyes red and swollen. I ignored her, heading straight for the bedroom. She followed. Are you really doing this? I grabbed my duffel bag from the closet and started shoving clothes into it. What else am I supposed to do, Emily? Her voice cracked. Stay. Talk to me. I let out a bitter laugh. Talk. Now you want to talk. I made a mistake. No. I turned to face her, my hands shaking. Forgetting to pick up milk at the store is a mistake. What you did, that was a choice. Tears streamed down her face. Ethan, please. Stop. My voice was quiet but firm. You don't get to beg me to stay. Not after everything. She covered her mouth, sobbing. I zipped up my bag and walked past her, pausing just long enough to say, I hope it was worth it. Then I left. Matt's apartment was small but clean, with dark furniture and a fridge stocked with nothing but beer and takeout containers. You can take the guest room, he said, tossing me a spare key. Bathroom's down the hall. Just don't leave your crap everywhere. Got it. He clapped a hand on my shoulder. We'll figure this out, man. For the first time in days, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I wasn't completely alone. Days turned into weeks. I went to work. I went to the gym. I drank more than I should have. But mostly, I existed in a state of numb autopilot. Emily texted me every few days, but I never responded. One night, I finally opened her messages. Emily, I miss you. Emily, can we at least talk? Emily, I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I love you, Ethan. I always have, ***. I stared at the words for a long time. Then I deleted the messages. Some things didn't deserve a response. 2 months. That's how long it had been since I walked out of that house for the last time. Since I left behind everything I thought my life would be. 2 months of trying to rebuild something from the ashes. Matt's place had become more than just a crash pad. It was a weird kind of home. We fell into an easy rhythm. Beer on the couch, shitty action movies, him dragging me to the gym when I started spiraling. He never pushed me to talk, but when I did, he listened. It was more than I expected, more than I deserved. Maybe. One evening, after a long shift, I found myself parked outside my old house. I wasn't sure why I had driven there. Maybe curiosity, maybe closure. The lights were on. Through the living room window, I could see Emily sitting on the couch, curled up with a blanket. For a split second, she looked like the woman I used to love, the one who would wait up for me after late nights at work, the one who made our house feel warm. But then my eyes landed on the half-empty wine glass on the coffee table, and reality set in. She wasn't waiting for me anymore, and I wasn't coming back. I put the car in drive and left. Back at Matt's, I found him on the balcony, a beer in one hand and his phone in the other. He glanced up as I stepped outside. "You look like shit." "Appreciate that." I leaned against the railing. He studied me for a second. "You went back there, didn't you?" I sighed. "Yeah." He didn't say why. He already knew. Instead, he took a sip of his beer and said, "You gotta stop looking backward, man. It's done." I nodded, even though I wasn't sure I believed it yet. He smirked. "You need a distraction?" I raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" He grinned. "Like a night out. You, me, couple drinks, couple women. No sad shit. Just fun." I almost said no. The idea of meeting someone new felt impossible. But maybe impossible was exactly what I needed. The bar was packed. Music thumped through the speakers, neon lights casting everything in a warm glow. I wasn't sure what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. Matt wasted no time, already chatting up a brunette at the bar. I lingered near the edge of the room, nursing my drink, watching. And then, "You look like someone who doesn't want to be here." I turned. She had dark eyes, an easy smile, and an energy that felt like a breath of fresh air. I let out a small laugh. "That obvious?" She shrugged. "A little. And yet here you are." She tilted her head. "Maybe I like a challenge." I hadn't smiled like this in months. Maybe, just maybe, moving forward didn't have to be so impossible after all.